Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. Good, the bad and the ordinary. What's he up to now then? Well, what he's up to is it's a sort of new idea, but it was triggered by a couple of people's comments about what to do about being in the doldrums and trying to think of something to film and things like that. So it's a follow-on really from some of the types of progress reports, progress updates that have been done in the past that have basically been forgotten about, mainly because they don't work that great. I don't get the number of views I'd prefer to get per video. Can't expect to get high views on every video. Every video isn't going to appeal to all people. And there are going to be some where people start to think, actually, I don't think I'm interested in that. That's fair enough. Can't please all the people all of the time and all that. But this is a type of progress update, but with a twist. So what I'm going to do is, by genus, where I can, because I can't in all cases, I'm going to pick on the good. So out of the number of plants I've got in that genus, the one I consider to be the absolute best, the bad, the one that's absolutely the worst, and the ordinary is one that's somewhere in the middle, that's sort of, picking up or recovering, not exactly doing as well as it could, and isn't the best of the set, if you see what I mean. And then as we look at the three, there will only be three in each video, so they won't be ridiculously long, we can have a chat about how to look after them and things like that. And at this point I'm going to admit to a major cheat. I've been cheating you all this time when I talk about how to look after something, yeah? Because what I'm saying is what ought to be the care for a particular plant. So why am I cheating then? Well, have a think about this place. What care do the orchids get in here? They all get the same. The only thing I can vary is the media they're in and their light level. They all get the same temperature. They all get the same airflow. At the moment none, because the fan's off. Yeah? They all get the same nighttime temperatures. They all get the same humidity. So when I'm saying, that this one prefers high humidity and this, that and the other, it doesn't necessarily get it here in my place. It gets what it's given. And that's how I work the place. The variable that is an obvious variable is the light level, which I can vary considerably. I can vary from this end to that end. This end, for 3 months of the year, gets some sun on the roof and brightens up. This end never does. Top shelf, middle shelf, bottom shelf. Top shelf obviously higher light, but higher light up that end is a little bit less light than top shelf up this end. So I can vary the light levels quite considerably, from shady-ish to quite bright. But I'm not varying the humidity. And you've seen how I water in sets. When I water my pots, I water them all, unless they're still wet from the time before, in which case I miss them out. That's the variable. So it is a bit of a cheat, isn't it, really? So, sort of do what I say, not what I do, sort of thing. But yeah, that's how it is. And if you think about it, that's probably how most people grow. If you think of Insa, at the moment, that may change, I know, he's got some outside, and he's got a room. Well, a room is different to this in as much it doesn't have light coming in from above, and doesn't have light coming in from sides, but he does have some artificial light, but it's still a room. It's an area that doesn't, so the humidity in that room is the same. The temperature in that room is the same. Yeah? So I was hoping they'd find a break in the rain, but we might be going to get some more rain because it's noisy on the roof. Anyway, so, you know, care guides are advisory, not necessarily exactly what I do. And I'm okay with that. I hope you are as well, because it should still work. Yeah? Right, so I'm going to get out 3 plants, and they will represent the best in that genus, as in my opinion, the worst, the one that's borderline going to be chucked out, and the ordinary represents somewhere in the middle, an average type plant out of the ones I've got for that genus. Now the exception will be where I haven't got 3. For instance, I'm not doing it this time round, but if you take my Orangus that we mounted the other day, well, I've only got one of those. With 2 plants, but only one, if you know what I mean. I've only got 1 Vanda. I've only got 1 Renanthera. But they're all Vandaceous, sort of. So they could make a group, even though they're not all the same genus. So there might be a little bit of that type of thing going on. But in most cases, I've got at least 3. So I haven't got a huge number of genuses, genera. So anyway, I will break off, get 3 plants out, and we'll make a start on what will become, I won't say a weekly or a monthly, I won't say the frequency. It sets a precedent that I then have to stick to. It's something that I can slot in every now and again with relative ease, without too much preparation or thinking, and is relatively easy for me to do, and hopefully will be enjoyable. They might not be in bloom, they might be. Just because a plant's in bloom doesn't mean it's my best one. It could even be my worst one of that genus. I might not have a bad one, but it'll be the worst one that I've got, if you see what I mean. So that's the general idea, and I'll be back with 3 plants very soon. Okay, the 3 we're going to look at in this video are Paphiopedilums, and it's not this 3. It's the fact that I've only got 6. I thought we could quickly look at the 3 that I'm not going to film. So this one didn't get selected, nor did this one, and nor did this one. However, these 3 did. So, good, bad, and indifferent. And I bet you get 2 round the wrong way. The good is Paphiopedilum blackjack. Why the good? Well, probably one of the best root systems on a path, certainly that I've ever seen. Actively growing, plenty of them, and the plant's root mass is getting a little big for the pot. But I'm not going to change it, because obviously this plant is happy. We do have a considerable number of new growths. If you start there with that one and then come round, there's 3 there that you're looking at, the larger one in the centre there, and then the small one coming off of it, and the one to the right. So that's 4 new growths around this side of the plant, and then there's another one in the middle of the plant there. So probably 5 new growths on there. Wouldn't it be marvellous if they all bloomed and all at the same time? Well, they won't, because obviously if that group of 3, one is far more advanced than the other 2. Nonetheless, that's a good path. I like it a lot. I like the patterning on the leaves. The leaves that don't look so good I inherited, like down here. That was on the plant when I got it. So they're not my leaves. So anyway, so that's the good. And now the ordinary. I bet you're thinking it's that one. Well, it's not, it's this one. Whereas this could have been declared the bad, but it isn't really. This is the one with the very pale leaves. And since I put it in a shadier spot, I believe that the leaves seem to be greening up a bit. You sort of have a look round here where we've got some new growth. They're a better green than the ones next to them. However, they are still pale. Yeah? Now, I don't know whether that's how it's supposed to be, but it's growing. New growth, new growth, new growth, new growth. You know, it's growing. Even here, look, there's a little new growth coming off of this growth. So it's growing. And the leaves aren't dropping off. But there is still no sign of root activity. So I keep this one, I don't keep this one wet, I keep this one bordering on dry. And when I water it, it doesn't get too much. Because that pot is the right size for that plant if that plant had a root system. But without a good root system, the pot's actually too big. But I can't really get it in a much smaller pot. The only way I could get it in a smaller pot would be to divide it and then put the pieces in a smaller pot. But then the plant would probably lose its strength. Because at the moment, I believe it is one plant. So, yeah, it's just ordinary. It's not doing really well, but it's not failing. It's just sort of doing its own thing in the normal Paphiopedilum slow manner. You don't very often get vigour in a Paph. This would be classed as a vigorous Paph, I think. Not because of how quickly it grows, but by how much it grows, the amount of new growth that it's putting up. So that's that one. So this is the bad. Why is it the bad? Because it's got no roots. When I repotted it, I think it had one root. And it's not growing apart from that tiny little bit of green at the base there. It's difficult to even work out what that is, but I believe it's a new growth. But it's got zero root system. It's finished blooming. This growth here looks like it's the latest growth, but it hasn't moved since I got the plant, so it isn't. It's basically the old growth. And then this is the new growth which bloomed, and then this will be the next growth. It's not losing any leaves, and the oldest part of the plant isn't dying yet. So if the two pieces that I've got remain and the new growth does actually produce some roots, then this will pick up. But at the moment it's not failing, but it could do. You know, it's as I said, with virtually no roots and virtually no active growth, there's a difference. This one hasn't got good roots, but it's growing. So at some point it will produce some roots. But this one isn't really growing. That does look like a new growth, but it doesn't look very strong to me. So anyway, as far as looking after Paphiopedilums are concerned, they don't like intense light. Some of them do. Like this one's been put on it's been lowered down a shelf. It's been put on a lower shelf to see if the colour of the leaves will brighten up, and they do seem to be doing so. But it's a hybrid. It's not a species. So you know, maybe the reason why this is so pale was it was given too much light before I got it, and being slow to respond to variables, it's just taking its time. But it's not going backwards and it's not going downhill. We've got some growth. So, you know, I'm happy that this one will keep growing and eventually there will be a root system. Now, this one I'm not so sure. The thing, I think probably the best tip for care of Paphiopedilums that I can give is, even if it's a hybrid, try and find out the origins and try and find out you know, well, by origins, I mean the species that eventually, you know, you track backwards through a hybrid, you eventually get to a number of species. Now, lots of people are going to say, well, there's only ever two, isn't there? No, not necessarily. If you cross a species with a primary cross, your base level is 3 species. Yeah? Often you track back and there is only 2 species that started the cross. But nowadays, with the more complex hybrids, you can go back to 2 primary crosses. Well, you've now got 4 species, but two of those primary crosses might have the same one in it, and then you go back to 3. But you see what I'm getting at. But what I really mean is go back to what type of environment those baseline species grow in, because it'll determine whether you've got a lime hater or not. Yeah? Lots of paphs grow on limestone outcrops and those type of areas. Some of them are up on rocky cliff type things with water running down, but they're often limestone or lime based rocks, and that means they object to acidity. They like a more neutral base to grow in. But then there are those that are forest floor dwellers. They are semi-terrestrial. They're not really growing in the dirt right deep down in, growing in the litter, leaf litter and stuff like that, which is acidic by definition because it's decaying. Yeah, and they would not like a neutral or limey sort of base to grow in. So that's the important thing, I think, is to determine whether you've got one that would possibly like some lime-based substance added to the media to keep it neutral or towards alkaline and not be acidic. Yeah. If you're going to put moss in your media, by definition your media, if it's not immediate because it's newly repotted, it will be soon because you've got moss in there, and moss does provide acidity. So perlite, neutral. Bark, relatively neutral for some time when it's new, but it will eventually, as it eventually starts to break down and gets older, it will turn more acidic. So that's the only real tip that I can give, is to watch your media that you're growing them in. Yeah, and hopefully make sure it suits the plant. Yeah. So if you're up near the neutral, up near the pH 7 mark, possibly even slightly higher, yeah, or around the high 6s, you're around neutral. For some plants, that's perfect, that's what they like. For others, that would be a nightmare and they wouldn't like it at all, and they'd prefer to get down, below the 6.5, heading towards 6 or even slightly less, for those that grow in the leaf litter on the ground. So choose well. And apart from that, they don't like intense light, that's for sure. Some like brighter light than others, that's obvious. They all like reasonable humidity. Some would prefer quite high humidity. Those that grow on rocky outcrops that are almost running in water, they're not sat in the water as such, they're on little ledges and things. They've got water all around them, splashing around. There's moss everywhere. The humidity in those areas is incredibly high. Yeah, and they would prefer that high humidity. There we go. There are some that grow on rocky outcrops on the coast. What sort of humidity would they get? They'd possibly get some salt in the air. I wouldn't recommend you start spraying your plants with salty water, but some of them are pretty tough cookies. But anyway, that's my good, bad and ordinary for the Paphiopedilums, and we will choose another genus or possibly a pair of genera for the next one, and the next one will be when I get round to doing it. I don't want to form a pattern like saying, and I'll post these on Saturdays or anything like that. You might get another one on Monday. Well, actually you won't, because it's the 8th on Monday. We'll be doing everything in bloom. Or, as it might be nicknamed this time round, the Phalaenopsis saga. Because practically everything is in bloom at the moment, with a few exceptions, are the Phalaenopsis. So anyway, that's that one, and I will see you tomorrow for the Sunday chat, as it is. Bye for now.